I'd like to say hello to everyone today here at our annual meeting for 2021 that we're holding in 2022. Of course, what has affected a lot of these moves as far as trying to hold meetings and so on, face-to-face especially, has been COVID and its effect that it's really had on everybody. It doesn't matter what industry you're involved in, and agriculture certainly wasn't immune to some of the problems that we have faced due to COVID. We're seeing more and more through the supply chain issues that we see really affecting the entire economy, and it's starting to affect farmers as well. We talk about fertilizer and input costs going up due to supply chain issues, things like labor shortages caused by COVID, and I think as we go through the next number of weeks and months, we may see more of that with the variant that's going through the country right now. It seems to be affecting more people, and people are phoning in sick, and we'll end up seeing probably some trucker shortages and maybe problems at ports as well. So only time will tell, but APAS has been busy. It's been an important year for APAS in 2021, and we've been busy with policy right across the board, be it Drought or Grain Act reviews, a federal government that wasn't in a minority position and called an election in a minority position again. So the lobbying we do is important both provincially and federally, and even local. It has an effect on how farmers are treated at the local, national, and even international levels. So APAS has been busy throughout 2021, and we look forward to a busy year in 2022. There's lots of work to be done, and I'll just touch on a few of those issues going forward here in my speech. One of the major issues that still affecting agriculture in the province, of course, is carbon tax. This is going to be a long-term issue. Big part of what happened in 2021 was the Supreme Court case was settled between Saskatchewan and really a number of provinces. It was determined by the federal court in a split decision that federal carbon tax is constitutional. So going forward, we are dealing with the federal government. Recently, towards the end of 2021 here, they've announced a rebate program for producers that money will be sent back to the backstop provinces like Saskatchewan and Ontario, that producers here will be receiving checks. Latest that we've heard is in July. They've put the protocols in place, so we are starting to analyze how they've arrived at these numbers. The carbon tax is up to $50 a ton now, and of course is headed up to $170. Who knows if that's where the final resting spot is going to be, and maybe even be higher. So it's important that we get these numbers correct the first time. The last Parliament, we did have a private members bill that went forward and was passed through the Parliament, but unfortunately it didn't get through the Senate before the election was called. That bill dealt with exemptions for grain drying. I think as we go forward this year, there's talk that in the new Parliament that the Conservatives will put forward another bill, private members bill, that will be more widespread as far as exemptions for both grain drying and barn heating and cooling for the livestock sector. So we'll eagerly await that, and are working, both at the provincial and federal level. And I think at the end of the day, now that the court case has put some clarity around the issue, it's important that Saskatchewan ends up having the money come back into the province. And I think at the end of the day, we need our provincial government to be in charge of dispersing the money back to agriculture in this province. They understand agriculture in the province far better than our federal politicians do, and we'll do a better job of recognizing what the federal carbon tax, what costs we are actually paying for as producers. So it's an important issue. It's not going to go away, and it'll be a long-term project, but we're looking forward, now we have some clarity around it, that get to work here, and both at APAS and at the national level with the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, to try and get a deal that's best for ag producers. Of course, the major issue for 2021 in agriculture in Saskatchewan was the drought. We've seen some snowfall now through parts of Saskatchewan, especially up in the northeast part of the province. There's a lot of snow across the northern grain belt that is very welcome, but our moisture deficit is so great that we're going to need some timely rains again in the spring and throughout the growing season for 2022 crop. But without question, 2021 was one of the worst drought years we've had in this province. The real story about the 2021 drought was how big it was. It was really border to border, north to south and east to west, and really continued throughout Western Canada and even into northwestern Ontario. So it was something that was widespread. We saw record crop insurance payouts. and really a drop in wheat production of close to 40%. So the numbers show that how bad the drought was, and both grain producers and cattle producers saw a lot of impacts throughout the year. We had good moisture in the spring in a lot of the province, so we had a quickly developing crop with good germination that really needed timely rains throughout the season, and we just didn't get them. So it was a difficult year for a lot of producers, and even going into next year is going to be difficult. It's still a lot of the province is in drought when you look at the maps and so on. So we're hoping for more snowfall this winter season, and of course timely good rains and lots of it throughout the spring and summer months next year. The federal and provincial government both stepped up early on, especially in the livestock sector, and provided some funding that was very timely and was really needed to protect the breeding stock. And the cattle sell-off would have been much worse without the federal government and provincial government stepping in and giving the help they did. So that was most welcome for our cattle producers. On the grain side, we had lots of troubles with contracts. APAS did a survey. We had 75% of our respondents talked about troubles they had fulfilling grain contracts. So I think going forward, there's a lot more understanding about what farmers are signing when they look at a contract between themselves and a grain company. And I think going forward, we want to see more clarity and more understanding of what farmers are actually signing on to when they do sign up production contracts. It's an important part of our industry, but we need to have a better system that protects both sides of contract, both the grain companies and the farmers. Another major part of the work that APAS did over the last year in 2021 was our task force that looked at rural internet and connectivity. We had a good group of producers, both board members and APAS members from across the province, that sat down, did a lot of really good work with staff and themselves, and talked to people involved across the industry. We put out a report that really spoke to a lot of the problems that have occurred in connectivity issues in the province. It's an important part. If we don't have connectivity, we're going to get further and further behind. We're already talking about 5G, and a lot of this province doesn't even have good 4G, and still talking about 3G in a lot of areas. So the speed of business is moving forward, and rural Saskatchewan is falling a little bit further behind all the time. So we are encouraged to see some of the work that SaskTel is doing, investment in the rural internet infrastructure. I think one thing that really shone clear within the report was that we need a good fiber optic system in this province. SaskTel controls a lot of that, and I think we need to see SaskTel make it available to other carriers as well. So if they're not willing to provide good service, there are smaller carriers that may be interested in providing service in the rural Saskatchewan. So as we go forward, it's getting to be more and more of an issue. I think we have a unique opportunity in this province with a major provider like SaskTel. It is a public entity that can help some of these smaller companies come into our province and provide good service for everyone, because it's more than just an inconvenience now. It really is a matter of necessity, and we've seen that through COVID. Things as simple as children going to school, they're not able to do it on a lot of Saskatchewan farms because we just don't have the internet connection. So it makes it hard. We've seen more and more. This is a real opportunity for rural Saskatchewan, that if we can get good internet service, we're going to be a leg up on our competition, and be it in other countries or other provinces. So it's important that we continue with this work and see that connectivity continues to increase in the province. Another issue that's always top of mind with producers is rail service. Really, the last year we've had some interesting grain movement, really record grain movement through the first part of the year. That tailed off really at the end of the year. It's really driven by weather. More than anything else, be it the flooding in BC or cold snap that we've had over the last number of weeks. So I think overall CN and CP did do a good job this year with the record grain movement. Unfortunately, we have less grain to move into export position this year with the lower crop, but it is important that grain keep its place, keeps moving to port. Problems at Vancouver as far as accessibility and being able to move products through that port are ongoing. There's lots of money there, billions of dollars that need to be invested in infrastructure, and it's going to take time, but we need to continue to see good service. And when we get back to a normal year, we're probably going to have another record crop and record grain movement again. So it's really important that we keep our eyes on what's going on with the railroads, and hopefully we'll continue to have a good working relationship with both railroads and continue to see progress on the grain transportation file, because it's something that's always going to be a big part of what agriculture and how successful we are in Saskatchewan, because we are so far from port, and we really do a great job of moving our grain when the system works correctly. So it's going to be important to keep up and keep continuing to work both with the railroads, the Port of Vancouver, and us, our partners in the federal and provincial governments as well, to ensure that we continue to have good service. The Youth Mentee program is still a viable program. In 2021, we've have 5 new mentees this year that from across the province, both young men and young women. It's been an important program really for agriculture in the province. It's not just about APAS membership, it's about creating leaders for the future, be it at the RM Council level or for other commissions, for wheat commissions, or even other farm groups. So we've had a really good group of mentees go through the program over the last number of years, and this year we're happy to say that FCC is our major sponsor now for the program. So I would say going forward that if you know some young person that's under 40 and is interested in agriculture and agricultural policy, to put their name forward, and they can be a future mentee. And it's a program that has really worked out well for both the mentors and the mentees, and it's a program that we look forward to every year. That's just a few of the major things that have happened this year in 2021 at APAS. There's been other issues, of course. The Grain Act review would be one that comes to mind that's been very important, and we'll see that go forward here. It kind of stalled out during the election process, but we'll hear more about it now in 2022, and hopefully get the Grain Act. We made some presentations and are continuing to work with other farm groups like Sask Wheat and Sask Barley, as well as talking to bureaucrats in Ottawa and the federal minister about the Grain Act review. So it's something that's important. I think we see Grain Commission as an important part of protecting farmers' interests, and we look forward to continuing forward with the review, and look forward to what the minister puts in place as far as new legislation and regulations when it comes to the Canada Grain Act. This is a time of renewal here at APAS. I'm finished as my 6-year term as president is up. It's a presidency that is elected every year by your board. We have a great board that has worked together over the last year and the past number of years, as well as our vice presidents Bill Prabilski and Ian Boxall. It really is a team. When we talk about APAS, it's not just the president, it's not just the executive, it's just not the board. It's also the reps and all the people we represent as well. It's been an interesting 6 years for sure. Lots of work has been done, and there's still lots more work to be done. And it's always important that really Saskatchewan is the lead province as far as agriculture in this country. Sitting in Ottawa or talking to politicians in Regina or even at the local level, you're representing some of the best producers in the world, and it's intimidating sometimes when you think about the people that you are representing and how good how Saskatchewan's place in agriculture, not only in Canada but really in the world, with some of the crops and innovations and the genetics in our cattle herd and things like pork, chicken. It's all an important part of agriculture, in this province, and it's a big job to represent all the different parts of agriculture, but just agriculture as a whole. And it's an incredibly viable industry and varied. It's always interesting. I always say it's kind of, when you're in this job, you have to talk to the politicians as a farmer, but then the same day you have to turn around and talk to a farmer like a politician. So it's something that's a real balancing act a lot of days, but it's been enjoyable. And at APAS, we're up for the challenge and look forward to the new executive being in place. And I'm sure that agriculture will continue to be well represented in the province. I'd just like at this time to thank all the APAS board and staff over the last number of years, as well as the members, and it's been a real honor to represent Saskatchewan and agriculture as a whole for the last 6 years. Thank you very much.